Welcome to the world's worst podcast. This is as Halloweeny as it's going to get. I'm sorry. This week we talk, like we said last week, about the movie Event Horizon later on in the show. You can stay tuned for our thoughts on that. We also just generally, as we do, talk about the things that are happening in our lives. And this week we have a special guest, a friend of the show, I guess. John is here along with myself, Ben, and Devin. Say hi, everybody.
Hey.
No.
Okay, fine. Devin, you wait, and you'll get yours later on in this show since we've just finished recording it, and I know you get your comeuppance. Yeah, I did a real bad job taking notes this week. I'm sorry. So let's get into some music here. Some slightly creepy ambient string-based music by Costa T. The song is Red in Black. This is the world's worst podcast.
Oh, Jesus. Well, what me and John were talking about is I was commenting on his picture for Skype. He has on his beard color. I was commenting that I was going to grow a beard for the winter, maybe for a year.
Right.
And then John's response was, "Well, you're the person that cried beard, basically, you know."
I don't know. I think the alliteration of the boy who cried beard is certainly appropriate.
The issue is I get this kind of rash or whatever every time I try to grow a beard, so it becomes like prohibitive. But I'm on a round of treatment for that, so that should hopefully not be an issue this time around.
Huh. Weird.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. But
Yeah.
so how was your week, Ben?
Excuse me. Actually, this week was a lot of finishing up, like the end of a 3-week period of a lot of shit I had to do for school, which is good. That's now done because I have a bit of a breather now. Like today, I don't have anything I really need to get done. It's just I have another short presentation for one of my classes on Tuesday, but I already know what I'm presenting about. I'd had that figured out for a while. That was the easier of the two presentations. So that's just something I need to do between now and Tuesday. But yeah, it's been a nice bit of time there was a bit of a rush like through Friday to get some stuff done, but on the back end of it now, which has been nice.
Right on. How about you, John?
Let's see here. It's been all right. It's been all right. I've been work's been a little crappy. I've been kind of behind on some things, or owing lots of things to lots of different people. So been a little overwhelmed. But yeah, other than that, same old.
Yeah, you were saying that you had an emergency today for work, so that sounds kind of
semi-emergency. Some things weren't working, so I had to go into the office to fix it.
Fun. It's always tough when you're the person that knows how to fix the things, because as valuable as that makes you to an organization, it also becomes a trial, I suppose.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So, Devin, we were hearing about, we don't need to go into detail from what we were talking about before we started, but feeling a bit stomachy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I either have the a stomach flu or food poisoning. So I'm a bit dehydrated and out of it, so you'll have to forgive me.
All right, cool.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to get into like too much detail. I didn't
Okay,
sleep.
but I mean, presumably in 7 days you've done more than vom and be dehydrated.
No, my entire existence has only been stomach flu. No, actually, the stomach flu thing just happened overnight, actually.
Oh, jeez.
Quite a bit has happened this week. Bee and Puppy Cat is a series on...
Well, it's on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on
but
YouTube, but I'm trying to think of the channel
Is it...
off the top of my head. Frederator? Oh, this sucks. I totally took notes and everything.
Is that Cartoon Hangover? Is that a thing? That's a thing, but I don't know if that's the thing.
I don't know if it is the thing.
You know, it is Cartoon Hangover. Okay. I'm smart.
Okay.
I
Awesome.
am so smart. SMRT, etc.
But it started as a 2-part kind of exploration, and then continued as a graphic novel. But they reached their crowdfunding goal, so they're going to actually do a full-on series like Bravest Warriors, and that starts November the 6th.
Nice.
And I could not be more excited for that. It's an amazing series. If you haven't seen it, you should go and watch it. It's only 10 minutes for both episodes. Completely free, really awesome.
Yeah, it's just up there on YouTube to be watched. It's kind of cool the way that they're taking the sort of traditional TV cartoon model, these short episodes, and then turning that into just a YouTube channel with, the sort of crowdfunding support. It's a nice use of that model, I think.
YouTube is changing a lot now, actually, like entirely. When I was in college, it wasn't nearly like how it is now, where we're seeing shows like Carmilla and things like that.
Well, yeah, all kinds of stuff, yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool to see that happening, and for the TV companies to see that we're not, necessarily willing to sit through the same crap that they're doing. So,
yeah, I mean, and some of the networks have their own pressures of trying to make sure that they're getting content that has a broad appeal, whereas the beauty of the YouTube model is that you don't need a broad audience, you just need a very specific audience. And with YouTube and the internet, you can just reach the 500,000 million people that would watch your show, rather than having to hope that that same group of people will tune in to a regularly scheduled show with network production values and that sort of thing. It's democratizing in that way.
Well, I feel a bit suspicious when I hear that public television has some kind of restriction on what it's doing. The only restriction that it has is what it's willing to put money out on, in the hopes of getting money back.
Yeah.
So when they're generalizing like their content, it's not because they need to, really. It's that because they want to get as much money in, which I
the trouble is that it's a model that encourages safe bets. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And so that's the constraint. And that's the thing too, is that profits aren't even that high necessarily overall. And certainly it's a changing, it's a changing landscape, but it's great that there are these other outlets. And by the way, we should also mention that Cartoon Hangover is kind of the place where people like Pendleton Ward, I think technically he's like a co-founder of it or something. Like he's heavily involved in it. So if you like Adventure Time and that sort of thing, then this is absolutely up your alley.
I found something interesting, kind of on an aside here, about YouTube, is that there are more Nobel Prize laureates than there are YouTube people who have 1 million+ subscribers. And that's including channels that are like Vivo and stuff like that is personality-less kind of thing.
Well, but I mean, I guess I don't understand the context of that, because Nobel Prizes have been awarded since the early 1900s, 1920s or 30s maybe, to multiple winners each year. So I mean, in like 80 years, I guess you would hope that would happen, but I don't know.
No, I'm saying that there's more YouTube people than there are Nobel Prize laureates.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood that.
No,
and had it flipped around. I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, I think you said it the other way.
Oh, did I really? There are more Nobel laureates than there are YouTube personalities.
No, you did it again.
Although, yeah, I did it again. You're completely correct. There are more YouTube personalities with 1 million plus subscribers than there are Nobel laureates.
Okay. That makes more sense.
Which I actually thought was really, really interesting, because I kind of just assume that people have the kind of audience that PewDiePie and stuff like that has. I mean, well, not exactly the same, but kind of.
Well, you're saying that you think those large audiences should be more common than they are, or less common?
No, I mean, if before I heard that fact, if you were to ask me, what do I consider a successful YouTube channel?
Right.
I would say, like 1 million or something subscribers. But clearly that's not correct. I mean, clearly a much smaller number is an accurate kind of bar for considering if someone is a successful YouTube personality.
Okay, now I'm really confused. Because if the statistic is there are more YouTube channels with 1 million or more subscribers than there are Nobel laureates, that seems like a large number.
Yeah,
So
no, I was surprised that there wasn't more people with 1 million plus subscribers. I was surprised.
Okay, so irrespective of its relative size to Nobel laureate numbers, you were okay. I got it. I thought
there's multiple things happening here. One, that fact about the laureates and the YouTube subscribers was interesting, and it also changes my perspective of what it means to be a successful YouTube personality.
Yeah,
so there's two things happening there. Is what I'm trying to communicate. Yeah. Poorly, obviously, but
well, you just missed a step, and you were across the bridge, and we were still wondering where the bridge was, and then but it all worked out. I actually, more recently myself, have been getting into trying to seek out smaller channels for Let's Plays and things, if I'm going to watch some of that, instead of I used to watch the Yogscast all the time, and that led me into a couple other medium-sized Let's Play type channels. But I've sort of been slowly, almost filtering down deeper and deeper into this stuff, and just finding these smaller little channels with people doing some interesting things, or at least archiving interesting things that they had done. Some of the things that came out of the original quote-unquote Let's Play threads and the Something Awful forums back in the early 2000s, I guess.
I've actually been doing a similar thing with smaller Let's Players, like Mathis Games, for example. I've been following lesser ones, and I've been enjoying that quite a bit.
Yeah, it's cool because I'm starting to find myself more and more turned off by the sort of format of those larger inspired, or channels inspired by larger successful YouTubers, because it's become formulaic in a way that is becoming more grating.
I agree completely, especially in context of Let's Plays, where they're editing a lot more, so you're seeing a lot less of actual gameplay interaction with the gameplay and more editing it for content, if that makes sense, if I'm phrasing that correctly. So no, I'm totally with you guys on that.
I've kind of for a long time been a little tired of the YouTube. I don't know if it has an official name, but the kind of the monologue to camera with a lot of jump cut format.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen enough of those, and it's troubling because a lot of the people that do that are really, really smart and do have really, really good things to say. But I don't know, that format just gets under my skin.
The don't yuck my yum guy, what's his name? Zay
Yeah,
Frank.
yeah,
The
Zay
Zay Frank
Frank.
formula, which is pretty much a standard now for vlogs.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I can understand why it's as popular as it is. Like, I think it's a kind of an efficient way to get your point across. But it's just it's too much for me.
It's everywhere. Yeah, it's
everywhere.
become too common, and I think someone somewhere needs to come along with the next thing, I guess, to the extent that there might be a next thing. But yeah, absolutely.
Well, and it's also like, I think you could also, put some crap into that format, and it would seem pretty believable too.
Yeah.
Like, I think it as good as that format and efficient as that format can be, when the person in question is explaining something or talking about something, real and true, I think that format would also work equally well with kind of bullshit.
Well, yeah, and there are those sort of popular social media darlings that do hold some questionable beliefs.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Yeah, with the sort of food issues and the like.
Yeah. Well, and it's also a little bit of a... It's also a little bit of a dumbing down of the discourse, too, at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, if the point of some of those YouTubers is to just get their point of view across to as wide an audience as possible, then, hey, that's probably a great format, or as broad an audience as possible. But if you're going to have, like, I don't know, nuanced dialogue and that sort of thing, I don't think that jump cut format really does the job.
I think
and it's easy. Yeah, if I may, it's easy to be. I think it's easy for that sort of thing to be mistaken for being more substantive than it really is.
Yeah, actually, that touches on what I was about to say. I apologize for interrupting you,
not at all.
but it adds this sort of instant creative credibility, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, you just assume that what this person is doing is better than it is because they're making these cuts. And I mean some things are, it's valid in some cases, because honestly there's a lot of B-roll and even just dribble that comes out of you when you're trying to create something like that. Like, I watched an unedited Vlogbrothers video, and they're unquestionably excellent video makers. And it was 40 minutes of just crap. Just like a lot of times, like Hank Green just repeating himself over and over again and trying to get the right delivery. But I think that in some cases, even if the delivery was just fine, people are using that as a creative medium, and it's just not necessary.
Well, it's become a format, and it's become a format that's associated with these intelligent points of view explained simply. And so that sort of creates these associations in the audience's minds where they see other people doing that format, and so they attach those same sort of credibility or levels of credibility to those other examples, even if those other examples are not the same level of quality or intelligence.
Yeah. I've been getting into the what maybe could be called the darker side of YouTube. And I'll say up front that I do not believe anything these guys, any part of these guys' point of view. But I've been watching some videos by a couple men's rights activists.
Oh, fun.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, if you can stomach it, and I don't know what it is about me. Like, sometimes I'll just seek out something on the internet that I know will just kind of make me angry. And it's not really entertainment per se. That I'm not laughing at these people. I don't know what it is about me that makes me seek that stuff out. I'll do it sometimes where, if I go to, I'll go to Slashdot, this, major kind of technology and nerd news site, or one of the other big technology sites. And if you look on any of the comments about, or the comments on any story about Apple or related topics, there are oftentimes like women in tech or that sort of thing. I'll just read the dumbest comments, but I can't stop seeking that stuff out. And there's this one guy. He and his buddy have started a Patreon for a movie, a documentary that's supposed to be against Anita Sarkeesian. I don't know if both of you are familiar with her.
Is she the one that's talking about feminism in games?
Yeah. She does the web series, and she's been the target of a lot of harassment with this Gamergate thing. And this guy that I've been watching, actually two of them, they've started this a Patreon for a documentary that they're supposedly going to make, kind of exposing her for all her, I don't know, falsehoods or whatever they think she's done. And they're just complete caricatures of the sort of people that you think would do that sort of thing. They don't seem to have any self-awareness about themselves or the quality of what they do. Like, this one guy is fond of just laying back in his bathrobe and just going on for hours about these topics. This other guy, and this is kind of this first guy, he's kind of a chunkier and has a super long ponytail, which he often is not in a ponytail, and it's just his locks are flowing everywhere. But this his friend he's a Canadian, and he wears turtlenecks with suits and kind of smokes and drinks conspicuously during his videos. Sometimes he seems to go out into the woods and stand in the middle of a field or something and smoke and drink and talk to the camera about the sluts, all the sluts out there.
Oh wow!
God.
Wow!
And I've really had to poke myself to convince myself that they're not parodies. But I'm pretty sure because they're that not self-aware that you're tempted to say that it's just a parody. And I think they're definitely, well, I would like to think they're doing their cause more harm than good. But I don't actually know that that's the case. But yeah, it's some great entertainment if you can stomach it.
I'm probably on the more and the word is escaping me here. It starts with an M. Oh, Christ. Anyway, I'm more on the cynical side of people than I would guess you guys are, and I would wager these people are not at all, being caricatures. I think they are, obviously they are caricatures of people, but I think they are being very serious. And
they're genuine.
Genuine, yep. And I think this is.
They take themselves very seriously. They talk very. They clearly consider themselves professors, and experts on these topics that they've dreamed up.
The sad thing is that kind of thing is exactly what that side, that extreme group of people want to hear. They're not turning anyone off that's going to be won over. This is exactly
that's really true.
This is the rhetoric they want to hear,
This is someone in a turtleneck and a suit confirming all of their secret beliefs.
In a field.
Yeah. That guy is also the turtleneck and suit guy is also a white supremacist, by the way.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that doesn't surprise me at all. This seems all very masturbatory.
Oh yeah.
They just want someone to give them each other a handy, and to say how smart each other are for their completely fucking insane beliefs. It's just that. And the sad thing is, these people actually exist in our day-to-day lives. You know what I mean? Like, you will run into these people, and the only reason they keep quiet is because their lives would turn to such shit if they actually open their mouths about anything they really actually believe.
Yes, and thus they are the truly oppressed. Right?
Oh, they are. I hear them tell it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's... I don't know, I think there's something fair about repressing the repressors. Right?
Yes.
I think about that.
Huh?
Because they've also, one of them, and these two in particular, like, I mean, they clearly have, like, some problems and some emotional disturbances in their lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of them in particular has made some kind of very amateurish, like a martial arts film and something like that.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So my impulse is definitely to, like, to make fun of them, to make merciless fun of them.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. Do you bully the bully is the question.
I don't understand this phenomenon, honestly. Like, there is such a thing as toxic masculinity in our society, but that is not what's producing these people. Like, there's no way that that's what's producing these people. I don't understand. Like, I would like to say that these people are mentally ill, but I don't. It doesn't make sense even how mental illness spawns this kind of. It seems too easy. I mean, clearly some of these people probably are mentally ill, but, like, it seems too clear and easy of a thing just to say that they're mentally ill. And there's someone at the door.
Okay.
Do you want to pause?
Yeah, I'm gonna go check on the door real quick. Sorry.
Okay. Break time.
That was real weird. Like, so I'll get knocks on the door when people are, like, confused about what apartment they're supposed to go to, or there's, like, a petition about the train that goes on out there. But there were 3 guys out there. I didn't even want to open the door. It was real weird. Like, they knocked and I caught a glimpse of their conversation. I was like, wow, this is real creepy.
Sorry, I got a cat I gotta take care of. BRB.
I was like, this is real creepy. I have no interest in even dealing with this whatsoever.
Just 3 dudes just out there, like, no indication of...
But it was weird because the way they were situated, right? Like, there's a guy in front, and he is in a button-up, some kind of plaid shirt, some kind of pseudo-dressy shirt, and slacks. Then 3 feet to his left, there was a guy in a leather jacket with a clipboard. And then all the way at the edge of the peephole, they could barely see was another guy. And I'm just like, this is way weird. You can go somewhere else. I have no business with you people.
I don't know who you are. You look creepier than Mormons. I'm not opening this door.
Yeah, like there's a Mormon couple, group, but they're always women who come here. And I'm just like, you don't look like Mormons, guys. You look like people who steal children. I'm going to keep the store closed. They were creepy. Like, it was like the salesman and then the muscle, except they're poorly hiding one guy. So I'm just like, no, we're good.
Yeah. If that were me, I would just slowly walk back away from the door and just sit down. Oh. Yeah, I had a weird. So I don't want to distract us too far from what we were talking about, but I want to mention this. I had a weird moment like that the other day where I got a knock at my door, and it was just two people, like, early, like mid to late 20s, maybe about my age, a man and a woman, dressed businessy, and one of them had a clipboard, and they were just like, "Hi, we're just looking for anyone here who speaks Chinese." They were both Caucasian. And I was like, no, I don't speak Chinese. And then there was just sort of an awkward pause, and I was like, and then the guy who was sort of slightly behind was like, "Do you know anyone else here who might speak Chinese?" And I was like, I mean, I don't really know my neighbors that well, but I'm sure I know there are people around here, because I just live in this apartment complex for mostly graduate students like myself and families, and I know there are plenty of Chinese families around here, because it's, as a significantly sized American university, there are Chinese students. and students with families. So, and I know a lot of kids running around too. So, I know they found somebody, but I don't know. Like, there was no, and they declined to, or they didn't come out and say anything about what they were looking for or why. Just like, "Do you speak Chinese? Or do you know anyone who speaks Chinese?"
So weird.
It's like,
so weird.
Yeah. And that's the kind of thing you at least lead into with some sort of explanation. Like, "Hi, we're with this such and such group, and we're, but no, just looking for people who speak Chinese." I don't know. So, anyway.
I texted you guys asking if I was an ass. I'm sorry to radically change the topic.
Yeah, whatever. That's how this goes, I guess, right?
So Goulet Pens has this awesome service that they do, which is unique, I think, among pen companies, is that they will send you a 2 milliliter sample of an ink. I mean, it depends on the cost of the ink. The bottle dictates the cost of the ink sample, but they're all pretty cheap. So it's a really great way for you to experiment and figure out new inks with a low amount of risk to you. For example, a Pilot, I can't even pronounce the second word of that, but a Pilot brand, like Konpeki or something, will cost $30 or $40 for 50 milliliters or 30 milliliters. So it's really cheap to then get a sample of 2 milliliters for $2.50.
Mm-hmm.
In any case, they have a deal going on because another one of their programs had to go off as they're switching websites. So there's a big discount for samples, and they have all these sample packages that by color, and all of these colors are ones I want to try really badly. So I ended up spending like $60 on on ink samples, and I got, it's either 48 or 58 ink samples. And I felt so bad because some poor person has to go and pipette all of these colors.
I mean, presumably they have a system for that, where it's not just someone with a pipette individually grabbing these inks, because that's just insane. And B, the thing you neglected to mention that clearly makes you not an ass is that they were saying this is a thing we're specifically doing now, that they're emphasizing. It's like, no, you're not an ass for using their service as intended. It's fine.
Right, that makes me feel a bit better, because I kind of feel like that dickhead who goes into the restaurant and draws on the table with mustard because it's people's job to clean up after me, kind of thing.
But that's not what it is, because if you'd have to modify your metaphor by saying that you went to a restaurant where they encourage you, where like the point is that you're going to draw on the table with condiments. Because like you are specifically paying for the service of them providing you these samples, and they specifically offer that as a service. So it's not comparable to going to a restaurant and making a mess because you know someone will have to clean it up.
Well, plus I'm sure the markup, I mean, if you're paying anything at all for those samples, I'm sure the markup on the samples is higher than higher than whatever markup they have on the full bottles or whatever they offer.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, so they're making their money. They're they're offering it as a for sale product. So yeah, it's not like this was actually the thing I was thinking of when you first mentioned this. Is I was worried that these samples were free and that you were just ordering 48 free samples.
No, that would make me an asshole.
That would definitely make you such an asshole. But no, you're paying for it. Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, at that point it would be it's free, but come on, dude. Just chill out.
Yeah, it's like going into a grocery store and just having your lunch with the free samples that they have of the different foods. Like, it makes you kind of a dick.
Yeah.
But
I got Civilization Beyond Earth.
Oh, nice.
And it is weird. Like, I'm having issues with it technically.
Oh.
Yeah, like I contacted John about this. It did some weird kernel error. Is that a thing?
That's a thing. Yeah.
It came up with a frowny face. Windows 8 is ridiculous. Like, do you know
That's right. Oh yeah. Okay.
How little I can take seriously a frowny face? Like.
Well, actually, I did. That reminds me. I was having some issues recently where because I have. The way my headset plugs into my computer is USB, but I have separate speakers that I use for other stuff. And so I had an actual, like, what would have traditionally been a blue screen crash that was just like that, where, it gave an error code and then had a frowny face in the sort of Windows 8 style. It's, I'm okay with it. But, it is weird to get that.
I'm okay with it, too, but I had to wonder for a second. Am I okay?
Yeah, is it me? Like, is this real? Did I am I imagining this? Yeah.
We should move on to movies here. I'm wagering.
Yeah, I guess we could.
I have to say, I want to talk about The Sphere though before we get on to the movie that we all watched.
What?
The Sphere. It's 1997.
Okay, this is some other movie then.
Yeah, some other movie. Yeah. That's
okay.
I watched a lot of
Sphere
movies.
In the movie, so I was like, wait.
I watched a lot of movies over the weekend, which is something that I haven't done in a long time. And one of them is The Sphere with Dustin Hoffman and Samuel L. Jackson. I haven't finished it because it's 2 hours, and I am not great at paying attention to things that are kind of static anymore. It's weird. As I get older, I'm less capable of paying attention to movies.
Weird. Maybe. I don't know.
But Samuel L. Jackson is 50 in that movie, and he's in a shower scene for maybe 30 seconds. That guy has a booty. Like, he has a really nice butt for a 50-year-old man. Wait,
Samuel L. Jackson was 50 in 1997?
Yeah, he's 60-something now.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. He looks 60-something now, actually. But in that movie, he doesn't look younger than 35, 40. Like, he aged very well. But his butt was really nice.
But Samuel L. Jackson was in Pulp Fiction, which was like 91, 93?
Yep, he was born in 40-something.
So he was like in his late 40s in that movie?
Yeah.
That's nonsense.
I know.
I mean, he looks like 30-something in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, absolutely.
He aged
My whole world is
well.
just crumbling around me now. God. Wow. So outside of being difficult or having difficulty holding your attention, is the Sphere okay?
For the first half, I've enjoyed it. I don't like. I think it's Dustin Hoffman. I don't like him because he's the same in every goddamn movie that I see him in.
Right.
But I mean, if you like Dustin Hoffman, then he's a good actor because he's Dustin Hoffman in every movie. But I mean, it's interesting, and it brings up some interesting questions and concepts. But I haven't finished it, so I don't know. I was just more surprised by his butt is the only reason I brought it up.
I watched two really good documentaries in the past 2 weeks or so.
None of them featured Samuel L. Jackson's butt, though?
None of them featured Samuel L. Jackson's butt, although one of them did have a fair amount of nudity in it.
Nice.
Yeah, the first one I watched was called Marina Abramovich, The Artist is Present. And it's a documentary about this performance artist who has had a long career in performance art, and he recently did a thing at MoMA in New York, where over the course of, I think it was a couple months, she would just sit in this big space, and people could come in and sit down across from her, and she would just stare silently.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
At whoever, at whoever came past, and it was really cool. The documentary was really affecting, and it definitely left. I had heard about that particular performance piece too, and the documentary definitely left me with more of an appreciation for that, and maybe performance art in general.
Did it basically just cover like those interactions and then with her like discussing it, or like what was kind of the format?
A little bit, yeah. So it covered kind of a little bit of her personal history, and then as well as her preparations for this exhibit. That particular piece was a part of a larger kind of retrospective of her work, and so she had other artists come in and kind of play the role in these various performance pieces that she had played previously. And it's very, very cool. As a person who's definitely inclined to sometimes scoff or roll my eyes at some of that stuff.
Right.
It's a worthwhile thing to watch.
I know Tumblr loved her for a while when that was when she did her first installation of that or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, some of the stuff, that piece, as well as some of the others that they showed happening in the documentary, are pretty cool. And she herself is a very impressive person in many different ways. Also saw a documentary, Bill Cunningham, New York, about Bill Cunningham, a kind of eccentric guy who basically a fashion photographer for the New York Times. But I think he's upwards of 70, if not 80. And he, bicycles all around New York and takes these kind of street fashion pictures of the styles and trends or whatnot in New York. And he's just a really kind of a fascinating character. That one's very enjoyable also.
For some reason, I thought you were talking about a football player, like American football, rather.
Yeah, when he's not at practice, he's bicycling around New York taking pictures.
Yeah,
that would be deep. I didn't watch shit, so all I've got is the movie that we all watched, Event Horizon, which I watched last night. before we recorded this, I sort of made the mistake, I guess, of choosing to. I worked until midnight, and then had to run out and get some groceries because I put it off because I'm terrible like that. And when I was coming back, I was originally just going to go to bed and watch it this morning, but I was like feeling weirdly energetic, so I was like, screw it, I'll just watch it tonight. And so I started about 1 a.m. And I'll just like tell this quick, and then we can get into more of it. But I started watching about 1 a.m., watched about an hour of it, looked back at the clock, and it was still about 1 a.m., and it freaked me out real bad. It's like, because that was just where things were starting to get kind of weird and like not quite sure what's real and what's not. And so when I'm going through that mentally, and then I'm looking at the clock and it's still 1 a.m., it was almost too much. But
That's
actually, by the way, Devin, fuck you. I thought this was going to be more sci-fi than horror.
Nope.
But I was prepared, you son of a bitch. I instead of watching it like full screen on my monitor, I put it on one side of my screen, and then I had this kind of basic racing game that I've been playing lately on Steam.
Oh no.
On the other side, so I could so when things got really bad, I was just, okay, now I'm just racing, and then I had the subtitles on and stuff, so I was like still following it, but then it was like when shit got real bad, I was just like, no, I'm racing, I'm crashing, oh god. Yeah.
All right, so I think we should insert here a spoiler warning. If you have not seen this movie and you want to and don't want to hear about the spoilers, you should go watch it on Netflix. Otherwise, in a few moments, we're going to totally spoil everything.
And it's going to be your fault, so don't blame us.
Maybe we can give a spoiler-free rating here. What would you guys, if you were rating out of 5 stars, what would you rate it? Don't ever want to speak at once.
I was going to wait for John, and then I was going to go. So
I will go.
Spoiler free or just out of 5?
Yeah. Gosh, I don't like number ratings. I will go 2 stars.
Wow. Okay. Ben?
I would say 3 stars.
Huh.
I would say that I'll just say 3 stars. I was going to say something related to a certain amount of time into the movie where that might have changed, but I'll just say 3 stars.
That's going to be my kind of thing. If we're doing a spoiler-free rating, then it's 3 stars for me.
Wait, what?
Yeah, if we're doing spoiler-free, like if we're not giving hints about when things happen in the movie whatsoever, then it's only 3 out of 5 stars for me.
But now you've just done what you've done to our poor listeners is suggest that if they continued on to the spoiler-free version, they might get a different score out of you.
Yes, that's true. They're going to get a conditional score out of me.
But that doesn't make any sense.
Well,
what context is that initial score for?
Okay, the score doesn't change at the end. The score changes at the beginning. So
right, it fluctuates. Okay, right.
It fluctuates throughout it, but the ending score is a 3. I apologize.
Okay, sorry. I was just trying to make sure I understand that correctly.
Nope, that's perfectly fine.
I thought you were trying to tease our poor listeners.
Nope. I'm just a shit communicator. So.
Well, I was giving you credit for doing something that might have been kind of interesting.
Nope, I didn't. I wasn't doing anything interesting. Okay. Just being terrible. All right. So now we're spoiler free. You had your chance to get out of here. Get. All right.
Yeah. So, if you're still listening, you dumb motherfucker, because this is gonna get all spoiled to hell.
It started so good. I was so happy with the movie.
Yeah. It started really strong. I was really into it. I really liked the interactions with the crew and Lawrence Fishburne as the captain, and they were setting up a really interesting sci-fi world. And then it just kind of about around that hour mark, of the full 90 whatever minutes, that was where it was kind of started to taper off, and it ended really weird.
When the Doctor fully lost his shit.
Weir, Sam Neill's character?
Yeah, Weir. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going to forget his name every single time.
I have IMDb up, so I can
Nice.
remind.
When Weir loses his shit, that's when it just becomes a typical horror movie.
Yeah, it's sort of a weird like slasher film moment.
Yeah, it lost everything that was making it unique. Because a real sci-fi horror is hugely unique, absolutely hugely unique. And I mean, we can name one or two horror movies per person. Like, you ask anybody on the street to name a sci-fi horror, they can probably name at least one. But they're incredibly rare. And when they just have a touch of sci-fi. So I was super, super excited. In fact, I haven't watched this movie for 6 months because I was concerned that it would be a letdown. So, yeah, for it just to be what I would consider just a movie, like, is a real disappointment.
And also, I do want to make sure I say the tagline, like on the sort of poster, "Infinite space, infinite terror," like that's some bullshit.
Yeah,
that's a really poor marketing job there.
Yeah, but it's the 90s.
I mean, I guess it's not doing the movie too much of a disservice, because that would imply the movie is much better than it actually is. Not like I've definitely watched things for 90 minutes that have been worse than that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I would say, like, the thing I was going to say about the way my score would have changed over time was I was like up like through about the first hour I would have said a 3.5, maybe 3.5, and it definitely lost the last half star just because of the way it ended.
Yeah, same here. I think it's that last act is what, for me, would have brought it down from a 3 to a 2.
It started so well, which is what's interesting to me, because like it stated already that the ship was doomed. Like it made it abundantly clear that everyone we're seeing right now is probably fucked.
Mm-hmm.
And I sometimes can really like that. You know what I mean? Like, it already gets rid of a great number of horror tropes that really can be the downside of movies, especially in, say, like monster movies, for example. Which brings, like, for example, Aliens. It makes it lesser than Alien, because we're already going into it knowing that we're going to see a trope happen. But in this movie, it establishes that there's probably not going to be a trope. At least not the big common ones that we constantly see.
Yeah. So when you sort of reach that point, it's like, okay, these people are going to die. Who did you think was going to die first? Because I think it was pretty obvious to me.
I thought the Doctor was going to die first.
Oh, really?
Like either the Doctor or the mouthy Irishman.
Cooper? Oh, the pilot.
Yeah, him.
Smith. Yeah.
Because he was just real mouthy, and like, that's one of those things you expect in horror movies. The mouthiest ones to die first.
Oh, sorry, John. Go ahead.
No. I felt I didn't. Yeah, I wasn't on board with the Doctor, but I thought the pilot would go.
He was my number one pick, actually.
Yeah, I was convinced it was going to be Justin, the pretty one, and I was almost right. I was almost right.
Number 3, and I was hoping he would die, mostly because of my reaction to his sexual harassment of the Australian lady.
Ah, yes,
the kind of hostess guy. Is Cooper? Is his name?
Yeah.
The
Eddie Murphy caricature.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was what really disappointed me. Also, the way that he comes back around in the end.
Oh my god! Yeah,
that was so unfortunate. Like that to me, I want to call that like a studio level like ultimatum that like this character has to do this, or like we need to have more of that guy because like that's going to be popular with the kids or something, or like with the youth, or I don't know, like some bullshit like that.
He was so extraneous. Like you could just write that character completely off, and none of the plot would have suffered.
There was nothing about the character and the way that he existed that needed to be that way outside of this weird, Eddie Murphy-esque attempt at humor and comic relief, which just failed totally.
Yeah. Well, the movie, I mean, I feel like he fit in with about half of the movie, and maybe it kind of points to the movie being two movies in one, but like I think his role kind of as part of the crew, like the crew, there are all these different archetypes, and he's one of the archetypes. Sure. And every now and then, kind of the humor of the interaction between the crew kind of pops up every now and then. Mm-hmm. But there's kind of a mismatch between the tone of all of that, because that was very almost kind of adventure movie and a little schlocky.
Yeah.
And like the tone of all that is kind of a disconnect between that and kind of the darker or the more supernatural elements of the story, like the two different movies at once in some ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. They started off making everything super brutal looking. All the technology is super brutal and dirty, and like the event horizon itself. The core room was this weird like space gothic
design.
Yeah, it looked like a torture dungeon. But even before that, just approaching the event horizon puts like Klingon ships, for example, to shame. It's just a super brutal looking ship. I actually really enjoyed that about it.
Yeah, I thought like the art design of that stuff was good and interesting. It was kind of the other elements of the movie that really failed it, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Though I suppose in a weird way, well, I mean not in a weird way, it did kind of foreshadow the nature of the supernatural effect that occurred.
Yeah, it did.
Which I guess was interesting.
But kind of the negative, because they kind of made they kind of tailored the it's like they said, okay, we have this really awesome looking brutal thing, and so we need the monster, quotes, it's not the actual monster, but the monster to be brutal like this too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So they kind of went over the top with that. Like, Oh, I have to ask this real quick though. Does anyone know what 5x5 means? Is that a thing, or is that just is it just part of the?
Lexicon? I have no idea.
It's I think it's a radio, or I don't know if it's like a broadcasting or like a CB radio term. I think it means loud and clear or something to that effect.
Huh.
Could be. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Because it was kind of given in that context.
Yeah, it just seemed too purposeful to be just some shitty movie parlance, you know.
Yeah, no, I think it's like a broadcasting term. There's also a podcast network called 5x5.
Yeah, there is actually.
Okay. Yeah. So that's probably that makes sense.
In the 28th minute, they were on the event horizon, and they kicked out a CD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just like...
The ship's logs on CDs. Yeah, and some of the weird, like, other things that that any sort of future movie or, recent future movie is going to swing and miss at, like, that next year we're going to have a permanent colony on the moon.
When did
the opening.
When did Laserdiscs happen?
Laserdisc was like late 80s. So like CDs were totally prevalent. By 97, CDs was the standard optical media.
Yeah, I just didn't know if the Laserdiscs had died out by then or
not. Yeah, totally. Because that was around the time that DVD players started to exist. Laserdiscs were definitely not a thing by 97, as far as I know.
This entire, as an aside, this entire thing we just did there is real weird to me.
What do you mean?
Oh, do you remember back in the day when they had them laser discs?
Sure. Okay. Yes. We're
Nostalgia?
This is old timey.
Yeah.
We're
This
talking
old
like it was-
technology of CDs.
Like we're talking like we're old men or something. Like
Sure. Yeah.
like 8-tracks and stuff like that. Like it just kind of feels like one of those kind of conversations. But
I mean, to give the movie some credit, I think there were some very, in the kind of the first 2/3, like we were saying, some very solid and effective, jump scares, as well as just a pretty decent kind of, like you said, Devin, impending doom feeling.
And doing a good job of obscuring exactly what it was.
Yeah, and that's kind of the challenge. It seems like the challenge that these movies face is that part of this sort of movie is that it's a little bit of a mystery. That in order for the movie to progress, the characters have to learn, or at least come up with theories for what is going on. But part of the fear comes from the whole sense of the unknown. So kind of as things become at least somewhat more concrete, or we have a little bit more of an idea what's going on, kind of by definition, it becomes less scary, or maybe becomes more horror, less thriller, something like that.
the thing that really brought me into it, into this specifically, and the thing that I had working for it was that mystery, and that's part of what really got me going on this movie. I don't count jump scares as being like a positive. Like they happen and they're a tool, but like on reflection, a jump scare is a startle. It's not one of the types of scary. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like,
I think I know what you're saying. I mean, yeah, I think there is skill there's some skill to an effective jump scare. But yeah, it can be kind of a cheap trick sometimes.
well, what I'm trying to communicate is that I mean, yes, of course, there is skill to doing those, and there are classier and better and more creative ways of doing it than others. But what I'm trying to say is, it's not it's not scary in the thing that keeps your lizard brain going, that needs you to have a nightlight on, or to wonder if you saw something out of the corner of your eye in the mirror, or
Sure, yeah.
to wonder what the bump was in the night. That's the good kind of scary that we want from horror, not the triggery thing or the startly thing of jump scares. Jump scares aren't horror. You know what I mean? They're just boo. They're just someone coming out and saying boo at you, and they can be done better than that, obviously. But that's not enough to make it horror, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I was interested in all the parallels. I guess I had seen this movie probably many years ago, not in a long time. And I was surprised by all the parallels between this and the more recent movie Sunshine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you and I saw Sunshine together, Devin.
Yep.
Ben, have you seen the movie Sunshine?
Is that the Danny Boyle movie about the son's gonna
It is,
die?
yeah.
Okay, I've heard of it, but that's about it.
You should see
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
It's fantastic. Suffers, I won't spoil it for you, it does suffer from some similar problems to this one.
Yeah,
but it does some things better. I mean, I haven't even done it yet. I was tempted to Google to see if Sunshine is like a conscious remake of this movie. But I guess it probably isn't, or I guess not to my knowledge. But they're very, very similar, but kind of an interesting contrast. Part of the trouble too is that there are some definitely some 90s elements to this one, particularly, the CD and some of the graphics, or the CG or special effects or whatever it was.
Right, yeah.
It dates it a little bit, so it's hard to, I don't know, probably hard to do a totally fair comparison between it and a more recent movie. But yeah, I think Sunshine in some ways is a very similar territory covered slightly more skillfully.
Yeah, I would say vastly more skillfully.
Yeah, vastly, yeah.
Do you know what really made it feel 90s for me? Oh my god, excuse me.
What?
No, I just hiccuped. But
yeah, I wasn't referring to that. I was trying to push it under the rug, and now you've just made us deal with it for an extra 15, 30 seconds. So good job.
Let's smoke kind of thing that the pilot.
Oh yeah,
was doing.
yeah. Cigarettes are totally everywhere still in the future.
And it's so good, It's the same thing that Aliens does, for example. Like, I forgot about how much of a thing that was back then. You know what I mean? Like, you saw it constantly, and it was just more like it just dated the movie quite a bit.
Yeah. Some of those little touches become hard to set aside.
Yeah, it's as if like they quoted Twitter or something.
Oh God.
Like they were like mentioning Twitter, kind of dating. But I thought one character was kind of interesting that they never did anything with. Was DJ the medic guy?
Yeah.
They started to show him being unhinged when he had the scalpel to the one guy's throat.
Restraining Smith, who was trying to attack.
Yeah. I feel like that was a thread they never really wrapped up.
And it was too bad because it was blatant enough that it was interesting. Like, it was blatant and interesting and an obvious thing. You know what I mean? It wasn't just, oh, this guy is having lots of stress like everybody else. It was a very specific, of course it could have just been stress, but it was very, very specific. It was too obvious to be just something that was nothing. You know what I mean?
I like the little dig they did at the beginning, or the wink, where all the crew people are introducing themselves, and he introduced himself with the title of Trauma, and everyone kind of laughs at him. I like that. I mean, maybe I was misinterpreting it or reading too much into it, but it seemed like kind of a wink of self-awareness on behalf of the movie itself too.
That's an interesting idea. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Also, to his credit, I kind of liked the very final seconds of the movie. The last part. I guess we're in spoiler zone now, so I'll just say it. The part after they're rescued by the new rescuers.
Yeah, the last three survivors.
Yeah, and even kind of the fake out right before that. I thought that was kind of cool.
I honestly can't say I remember the very last few minutes because I was so done with the movie.
That was so they get into, they separate from the rest of the event horizon. The four decks get away, and then the Australian woman is the first out of the tank, and the rescuer pulls the mask, and it's Weir in his like sausage makeup or whatever. Is it bad that I thought of he looked like a grilled sausage to me?
No.
Is that weird?
It's not bad. No.
I don't know.
He looked like a fucking grilled sausage.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think about how irritated I was by the fact that they're dealing with a zombie doctor until just now. I remembered that because I was thinking exactly like, you're fighting a zombie. Like, this is boring. Like, this is fucking ridiculous. I'm changing my fucking score to a 2 out of 3. Fuck you, zombie doctor. I'm so irritated by the zombie doctor. That's just so.
I'll say, like, the thing that sealed it for me was that final fight between Miller and Weir in the core. Mm-hmm. It was so poorly done. The effects seemed really weird, but the moment where I just went, okay, fuck this, was when I don't know if it was when at some point at the beginning of that, Miller is tossed into the wall, and the sound effect they used for him hitting the wall was the most hackneyed, like, obvious fake smacking sound effect that will be forever etched in my brain as the sound used in the 1993 or 94 adventure game from LucasArts called Day of the Tentacle, where a character whacks his head against a wooden frame, and it makes that exact noise. So it's one of those just like overused sound effects, and then they used it like one or two more times during that fight.
Wow.
It's very poor sound work in that regard, unless they were just trying to do that, in which case, what the fuck.
I kind of lost it once that captain's chair swiveled around to reveal the zombie doctor. But then also
sure.
after that, after he had already gone out the airlock, but the other two were kind of struggling to make it back into the onto the bridge or whatever through the airlock. That was pretty hokey. And Sam Neill, like this pressure was enough to like suck them all out, but like Neill was able to like pull himself back into the place with a steel cable. Or metal cables kind of seemed...
I don't know. Well, it got kind of weird at that point. It's like, the ship wants me back and all that weird shit. Like, what is even going on at that point?
Yeah.
Like, is this I know. Real? Like, is he,
not Sam Neill, Fishburne trying to pull himself back, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
To kind of like address the sound effect thing, I can accept... Okay, so I've seen hundreds and hundreds of horror movies. I've seen more horror movies than anyone I know who's seen any other kind of movies. I've seen a lot of horror movies. And I really think, personally, that the best sort of horror that you're going to find is in low-budget horror. So I can totally accept and write off shitty graphics and sound effects if the rest of the movie, if it's obviously a matter of budget, you know what I mean?
Sure, yeah, I know what you mean, but at the same time, like there's
this movie, and not accounting for inflation, its budget was $60 million.
Was it really?
Yep, $60 million.
Because I looked and I think it only made like $23 million at the box office.
47,000 or 47,073,000. Blah blah blah.
Huh.
So it lost money, but $60 million, and it's supposed to be like this cult kind of classic thing, but it suffers from low budget film issues without being a low budget film. I mean.
Right.
It's like what's his name? What's M. Night Shyamalan, Sixth Sense, right? His best film, $40 million. When you, other than Bruce Willis's budget or Bruce Willis's income, you could have made that on $20,000, and it was $40 million. Like this, I don't understand how they're failing with this kind of budgets to make have good effects. I don't understand that. There's no...
Well, okay. Actually, there is something here to note about the director, Paul Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking back at his directorial credits. This Event Horizon was 1997. His first such credit was a small budget film called Shopping from 1994, which was apparently is actually reasonably good. It's like Jude Law and Sadie Frost. Oh, never mind. Maybe it's not that good. But it's a much smaller scope film. And then 1995, he directed Mortal Kombat, the movie.
Oh man.
And then 1997, Event Horizon. So the pedigree maybe not there in the first place.
Well, Wow.
And actually, of those three, Event Horizon is his highest rated, at least on IMDb.
And then Soldier 98. Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, I apologize, guys.
It's all your fault.
I thought this was going to be a decent movie.
I mean, it was somewhat interesting. It was good up to a point. Certainly. It also taught me that Sam Neill is originally from Northern Ireland. So that
yeah. Not to digress. I've been watching this series on Netflix called Peaky Blinders.
Oh yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I think it was originally made for the BBC.
Makes sense.
It might be a Netflix original. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, it takes place in Birmingham, England, sometime after World War One. And yeah, Sam Neill plays an Irish police dude.
Yeah.
Is the cover of that? Is it on Netflix?
It is on Netflix, yes.
And it has the front of it is a guy with one of those golfing hats, but without the dangly do on the top.
It is, and not to kind of I forget the name. Those flat caps.
Yeah.
The not to kind of bring it full circle. The star of the Peaky Blinders. I don't know his name. He looks like Jared Leto, but he's not Jared Leto.
I've pulled it up here. It looks like the top. The picture I see lists Tom Hardy as the top credit.
Could very well be Tom Hardy. Yep.
But also, Cillian Murphy. Sam Neill, like you said.
But I believe it's Tom Hardy is also in Sunshine.
Oh yeah.
Okay, it looks like Tom Hardy's only in 5 episodes, so they're just trying to pull his star power, I guess. But yeah. Okay, yeah, that seems interesting.
Yeah.
He's the main guy. Actually, he is in. Like when you bring up the Peaky Blinders thing on Netflix, the main in the center, in front of the guy with the rifle, that's the guy from Sunshine, just significantly older.
Cillian Murphy.
Yeah.
Okay, Cillian Murphy. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I watched another horror movie. Was it yesterday? Yesterday, maybe? No, it was on Halloween. I watched Babadook. It's 2014, and it's Australian. And oh my god, I've seen plenty of movies quit halfway through, but like this started so well for the first 45 minutes. Like I was on the edge of my seat waiting for it, right? Like it was depressing, it was great, the cinematography was fantastic. I hated everyone in the movie. It was, the acting was great. Everything was doing great. I've never wanted to hit a 5-year-old more in my life. It was wonderful. This is all to the credit of the child actor. Obviously, I don't want to be 5-year-olds, but like, the kid was playing his part very well. Mm-hmm. But it turned into this, like, spoilers here, guys. Spoilers. Don't watch this movie.
I wasn't going to anyway, personally.
Yeah.
What you say, John?
I might want to watch it. I've heard very good things about it.
Okay. So maybe we shouldn't
be petty.
Okay, I won't tell you the ending then. But like after 56 minutes, if you
what did it?
No, if you still like it, then I really, really want to hear your opinion about why.
But that's gonna lead to anticipation now.
Oh, that's fair. I apologize. You're absolutely correct. I hate. That's just another example of a thing I hate when people do, because then you're sitting there watching the movie expecting like, well, when's this thing going to happen? Oh, no, when's this thing going to happen? Yeah,
It was like the worst thing about watching the ESPN3.com replays of World Cup games is that you can't get rid of the bottom bar that has marks on it for when goals or important events happened. And so, like, you'd be watching a game, it's like, oh, nothing happens for a while, I'll just skip ahead. Or, like, a goal is coming or something because there's a mark there in some tense moment, some bullshit. Anyway.
See, generally, I don't ever say anything about movies, but I just felt compelled to bitch about this one, so I apologize.
That's fair. No, that's fair. Just, avoid specifics.
Yeah.
Like, I think it has over 90% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to say that you're wrong.
No.
But people disagree with you.
No, that's just fine. Road Broiler.
Road Broiler? The story of a Dairy Queen on the road? That's Brazier. Never mind.
God damn it. Fuck you, Ben.
Sorry.
What's that Mel Gibson movie about the post-apocalyptic?
Road Warrior is a movie.
Yeah, okay. With Mel Gibson? Yeah. That also has like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. That movie does not deserve 100%.
Yeah, well.
So.
Oh, there was actually one other thing I wanted to make sure I mentioned about from the 3 notes that I took about this movie, 2 of which I've already mentioned. The third was, since I was watching it with subtitles on Netflix, the when it cuts to the credits, the caption is synthesized industrial dance music playing, which is just a weirdly specific.
I actually made a note about that. I don't know if it was for certain if it was Prodigy, but it sounded like a lot like Prodigy.
Yeah,
and it was a real kind of a trip.
I used to listen to a lot of industrial, and I listen to a lot of EDM now, so I don't even know if I would have noticed like a specific type of music unless it was.
Yeah, it was just the caption was just so specific.
Yeah, I guess I don't listen to a lot of EDM now, but for me it did not sound modern.
Right, yeah.
It sounded 90s, modern
Totally.
90s.
Totally.
Modern in the 90s.
Oh my god, apparently Event Horizon was originally 130 minutes in length.
What?
Yeah. That was the initial cut of the film.
Well, that might explain some of the weirdness on some level.
I bet they had more about that medic guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and there was actually one other part that kind of confused me. Like the first moment. Well, I mean, this is like later. This is like sort of late in the story, but there's the confrontation between Miller and Weir in the like connecting tunnel on the Event Horizon. And like Miller's like they're just about ready to leave because the Lewis and Clark is repaired, and Weir says like this ship won't let us leave, or he sort of says something in the first person about the ship or something about we won't let you leave or some shit like that. Like he's kind of possessed in that moment, it seems. And then the very next scene with Weir, which is moments after, he stumbles upon one of the crew like dead or injured, and attends to that person with like totally normal human care. In this sort of weird, like there was this weird incongruity between the way Weir was acting moments before and the way he was acting in that moment.
Was he in full on? Sorry to interrupt you there. I didn't mean to do that. But was he in full zombie mode then, or
no? This was before like the shit went totally wrong.
Oh,
this
then that makes
like,
sense.
This is like one of the last bits before that, and Weir was just sort of being quote unquote possessed, is what I would call it. Like sort of talking in a way that was like, okay, this is clearly going, like, affecting him in a crazy way. Like, at that point, I was convinced that Weir was just possessed, like, he was just an embodiment of the devil, and that was going to be sort of the final reveal. Like, he was going to sprout horns or some shit, I don't know. But, so he, like, has that moment, and then moments later, it's like he's back to normal, caring about another member of the crew.
Well, it's one tool that's often used in these kinds of movies, to show that the person's fighting.
I guess I get that. Like, that makes sense from that perspective, but it seems like there's nothing about the way that movie goes that suggests that gives that impression.
Right, and that was going to be the second half of what I was going to say. But usually they no. Usually it happens more than once. There's more evidence than just a sudden, oh, now I care about this random motherfucker in the walkway. Like, yeah.
Yeah. It was a weird, and maybe that was another sacrifice of the running time, is that they cut out more development of that stuff. I don't know. Yeah, that's
well. I do think it was a kind of a missed opportunity not to deal with Sam Neill's possession in maybe a more subtle way, like the image of him, or the couple shots of him right after he plants the bomb and he's kind of walking away, across to the event horizon. That was a little freaky. And similarly, the engineer, the guy that lets himself out the airlock, like, I think it would have been cooler, and this is kind of where I was half expecting it to go. Cooler if, like, there was the possession was a little more subtle, and it wasn't clear right away that maybe these people were sabotaging each other, or sabotaging the ship, or attacking each other, something like that.
Right.
I think they went a little overboard on the possession thing.
Yeah. When it became like grilled sausage zombie doctor, that went overboard. I bring this up now because of what you just mentioned. What was your favorite moment what was the best moment from the movie? Mine, actually, at least one of the contenders, was when we're like, this might actually be what you were referring to, John. He backed up into the shadows in the corridor and was saying something about the ship. That's probably the creepiest moment about the ship, about the movie, and I enjoyed that quite a bit.
Yeah, I personally, like, favorite. I don't know. It's hard. Like, I don't think there was a scene that specifically stood out for me, and maybe that was partially due to my not 100% attention paid to the movie. But
there's got to be something, though.
I mean, like, there were definitely things that I mean, I liked the interactions, like the early interactions with the crew and sort of showing their relationships. I think the
Yeah, I don't know a specific like a specific scene or anything like that either.
I mean, it's totally perfectly interesting that we, are saying what's wrong with the movie, but there's got to be something,
Well, we also spent some time giving it credit for things that did well.
True. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I think it's interesting to talk about what is your favorite, or if you were forced to pick a favorite. Yeah, let's go with that. If you were forced to pick a favorite, what would be your favorite?
I guess I would have to say, under duress, that if I had to pick a scene, I would say the scene where they actually dock with the Event Horizon, like when they initially make contact, and just the interaction of the crew on the ship, sort of preparing for that and Weir's trying to fit into that.
Oh, the whole that isn't a
Structural, load bearing structure. But just that whole larger scene and including that and the other thing that for me that moment really illustrated and the thought that I had watching it was how much I loved that captain's chair design that Lawrence Fishburne was in.
Oh, the floaty looking.
I had real mixed feelings about that, but I know I'm curious what you liked about it.
I just liked the kind of just weird like hodgepodge look of it, and it's kind of dirty and like exposed technology, and the weird sort of Stephen Hawking-esque posture he always had in it. It seemed, but I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
I liked that it felt futuristic, but really still really dirty, like you were saying. The juxtaposition of the dirtiness and the normalness of the ship versus the high-tech feel of the chair, it kind of seemingly, I mean, obviously it wasn't, it was attached to the fucking ceiling, but it felt kind of floaty. That juxtaposition I found interesting. I enjoyed that.
But John, you were not into it?
I mean, it definitely had that kind of, that kind of junk, kind of a futuristic, but kind of like a dirty junk futuristic aspect to it. I guess it just stood out to me a little bit.
Seemed maybe a little too prominent.
Sort
of differences.
And that makes sense.
Yeah. So, all right, I guess that leaves you then, John, as far as favorite scene.
I think I liked when the engineer dude was first walking into the room where the gate, where the faster than light drive gate spinny thing is.
The core.
The core. The
core of punishment.
It was cool, and as we talked about before, the visual design was just different from anything that had come before it in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that part when they're first exploring the ship in general is probably the tensest moment for me. And that was done pretty well.
Sorry.
Well, the core just brings up the point about what the movie's really about, and I think if we state it this way, it will show that it wasn't actually saved from its premise. It's a ship that opened a gateway to hell, like
why is this not in the Doom movie?
Exactly. And coming from the outside in, it seems a lot more promising than its premise, but it wasn't saved from its premise. I mean, that concept is fine. You can have that concept, but you have to do a lot of work to kind of pick it up from that concept. You know what I mean? Like, it's a pretty lame fucking concept. So for it to be good, you have to kind of pick yourself up and save yourself from the disadvantage you've already set yourself.
Sure, yeah. I know what you mean.
Which is kind of like a mid-conversation point I should have brought up maybe 10, 15 minutes ago, as opposed to towards the end of our conversation.
It works. You get the point out there, and that's what matters. But, I mean, I don't know. Is there anything else you guys want to add before we wrap this up?
No, man, that's all I got.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Well, Devin, you want to take us home?
Yeah. All right. So that was our show, and we're ending here on MDK and Daniel Terra with Moonshine. The name will be in the show notes, so you should check it out. We'll be releasing the Minecraft videos once a week until they run out. So thank you very much. I'm Devin. This is Ben.
I'm Ben.
And John.
This is John. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah. We're just both so eager to thank you. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
What the fuck did I do?
Take care.